Here we are in Ayodhya. We needed to become purified, to become qualified to enter Ayodhya. It wasn't so difficult, it was pretty nice. Looking at the river Sarayu, it's pretty spectacular. I didn't exactly have a picture in my mind of what to expect, but it surpasses my expectation, whatever that was. It's very spectacular. It's very wide. Of course, who knows what it was during the time of Lord Ramachandra, how wide and so forth. On the first morning that during our yatra, we saw some photograph of an image of the river Sarayu that was more habited than this area, but sacred river. Along the banks of the river Sarayu, Lord Ramachandra would regularly come with his associates. So in many ways similar to the river Jamuna, different of course, the mood is different, but the transcendental benefit is quite similar. The place where we are right now is a ghat that the king of Ayodhya built a little over 200 years ago, according to the Pujari in 1801. And the deity inside is the deity that the king installed. Large deity, well cared for deity, very shiny. Look closely at the base and you'll see that the deity doesn't move. I mean, the deity is right connected to the base of where the deity is standing. And this was his palace. And the ghat is called Guptar Ghat, and it's said to be the place where Lord Ramachandra, along with his associates, according to the Uttara Kanda portion of Valmiki Ramayana, where he and his associates entered into the river and departed this world. So the Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman deities are here. Just as before the parking area, we passed a place that was a the Shringadev deity. And there's some other shrines in the area. So the pastime, appropriate for the place, we'll describe much further ahead in the Uttarakanda. By the way, a point of correction. All that we have narrated, including this morning, reaching Ayodhya is still part of Balakanda, and going forward, that's where the Ayodhya Kanda, because now everybody is in Ayodhya. So, from the Uttarakanda, there's a wonderful description of what it was like, quickly summarized, during the reign of Lord Ram. We heard that Valmiki began his composition of Ramayana when Lord Ramachandra was 40. Remember that? Sita had already come, but the sons, Lava and Kusha, had not been born yet. Ram is now the king, and all this experience of Valmiki that he should compose the story of Ram's life, inspired by Lord Vishnu, and who inspired Lord Brahma, who inspired Narada, who inspired Valmiki. So some years passed before Lava and Kusha were of age to be trained. So some number of years passed, but exactly when the sons were conceived, I don't have that timeline. So when he began the composition correction, Sita may not have been there. It's just at the beginning stage of Ram's rule. So after Sita was banished and sent to the ashram of Valmiki, Ram had taken a vow, Eka Patni Vrata, that he would have only one wife, and he had no interest to have another wife after Sita's departure. So he had a golden form, a murti of Sita, carved, that would sit next to him when he was presiding over the royal assembly. And whenever he engaged in rituals or sacrifices, this murti of Sita would be by his side. And in this way, he ruled for a long time, 11,000 years. We have heard from Valmiki Ramayana that Dasarath ruled for 60,000 years. And just doing the math, besides that's a long time, it must have been very early in Treta Yuga, just taking the number of years that he lived and ruled. And Ram's rule was for 11,000 years, and it is said in this Uttarakhanda section that during that period of time he engaged in 10,000 sacrifices, almost one a year, almost every year, time for an Ashwamedha Yajna. And in the kingdom, because Ram was ruling, everything was as you would expect during Rama Raja. People were following religious principles. Because of the performance of sacrifice, there was sufficient rain, there was abundant wealth. People were following the codes of religious conduct. Everyone was feeling very protected and very much loved by their ruler, and they very much loved their ruler, as we discussed this morning. Therefore, voluntary obedience, more than obedience, just attachment to Lord Ramachandra. There was nothing, it could go on eternally as far as the citizens were concerned. Then Uttarakhanda describes one day a very curious looking mendicant Brahmin sadhu arrived and requested audience with Lord Ram. Ram respected the Brahmana, offered him proper courtesy when being visited by a Brahmana, and the Brahmana informed him that he was a messenger of Lord Brahma. And the message that had to be delivered had to be done in private, and he wanted a promise from Ram, and of course Ram keeps his promises, a promise from Ram that no one would interrupt them, and if someone interrupted them, Ram would kill them. Ram agreed. Omniscient Ram agreed. So in private, the Brahmana emissary from Lord Brahma informed him, I am death personified. And Lord Brahma, who was amongst those who requested you to appear in this world, he knows that you are Lord Vishnu. He knows that you are supreme. And he also knows that according to your own plan, time has come for your departure from this world. You fulfilled the commitment that you made to Brahma and the demigods. You have fulfilled and satisfied all your desires to give protection to the citizens and well-being to all, not just human beings, but all beings within your kingdom. You are celebrated everywhere in the universe, and the time has come for your departure. Soon. This is the message that I've brought from Lord Brahma. And you may recall, we'll repeat this again, but Lord Brahma made a similar personal presentation, not through the Lord of Death, or Death personified. He also spoke to Krishna and said, nice job, you can return to the spiritual world now at your desire. But this was a little more explicit. So Ram smiled and said, yes, I know that the time has come. I'm very happy to receive your message. You can kindly inform Lord Brahma that very soon I will conclude my pastimes and return to the spiritual Ayodhya. As they were speaking, another guest came. You want to guess who the other guest was? Not Ravan, he's gone. Not Narada. Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni arrived and requested audience with Ram. So he was brought to the door where Lakshmana was told to guard the door and don't let anybody in, because I've given a promise to this Brahmana, don't let anybody in. So Lakshman said to Durvasa Muni, he's busy right now. Can you wait a little bit? You don't say that to Durvasa Muni. He said, you let me in now? I'm trying to control my anger. And it's not easy. It's about to spill out. You let me in now? I'll curse you, I'll curse Ramchandra, curse all your brothers, I'll curse the whole kingdom and all your descendants. Enter and tell Ram, I have come and I want to see him now. Lakshman considered. I know the promise that was given by Ram to this Brahmana that came to see him. And better that I give up my life per the promise of Ram than the whole of the dynasty be destroyed.
You have some fruits? Anyone has some fruits?
That reminds me of a nice story. I'll tell the story another time. I don't want to get distracted. There's intelligence. So, Lakshmana considered better that I give up my life rather than everyone be perpetually suffering in a suffering condition because of Durvasa Muni's curse. So he interrupted. He went inside and told Ram that Durvasa Muni has come and he's very angry and he's insisting on your audience now. And so he said, bring him in immediately, at once. And Durvasa Muni came before Lord Ram and Death personified and told the reason of his visit. He said, I've been undergoing austerities and I've been under a fast for 1,000 years and I'm hungry. I want you to prepare some cooked food and take a substantial breaking of my fast. Ram made the arrangements. Durvasa Muni was very satisfied and he went on his way. And so did Death personified, went on his way. And then Lakshmana said to Ram, as a great king and a great personality, you always uphold your word. And you've given your word to this Brahmana, Death personified, that you will kill whoever it is that interrupts the discussion. Ram, you have to keep your word. And how is it possible for Ram to kill Lakshmana? It's not possible. I can't, but I can't not either. What to do? He called his ministers. That's what he did. And Vishishta said, Ram, I could have foretold you that this was about to happen. The time has come for your departure. And so you're obliged to keep your word, and Lakshman has to go. So under the order of Vishishta, Ram accepted, and he called Lakshman and said, according to those who are wise, one who is banished and one who is killed is the same. So I hereby banish you. And Lakshmana accepted, this is the right thing to do. Time waits for no man, and here we are, and all of our activities are also bound by time. Of course, they're transcendental forms of the Lord, but he spoke in that way, as if they're human like the rest of us. And he came to the shore of the river Sarayu with a vow of fasting until death. He entered into a deep state of meditation, and celestial beings descended, invited him onto their vimana, and carried him away, according to Valmiki Ramayana, to the heavenly realm. But we know he went to the spiritual realm. News of this then went to Ram. And Ram was too disturbed, because as Lakshmana was so totally dedicated to him, Ram was totally dedicated to Lakshman. And in fact, he said as much to Lakshman, how could I rule the kingdom without any one of my brothers? I would rather be wherever my brothers are and not have a kingdom. So Ram decided, I shall leave also. And then he spoke to Bharata. I want to turn the kingdom over to you. Bharata said, I can't rule this kingdom without you. I want to go with you. Wherever you go, I want to go with you. And of course, Shatrughna wanted to go over where Bharata went, and Ram went. And Vashishta said, Bharata's right. You as brothers are inseparable. You should all go together. But there's a problem. And that is, the citizens will want to go with you. They won't be able to bear being without you. So Ram said what to do. That you have to allow them to go with you. Ram accepted, so be it. He called his two sons, Lava and Kusha. He crowned them as the successor king. He told them, one of you should go to the north, and one of you should go to the south of the kingdom and establish your own capital. You take all the wealth and all the resources that you need, all the soldiers, all the ministers, everything that you need, and you establish kingdoms in the north and in the south. They were reluctant, more than reluctant. They were feeling pain of separation from Ram, but he ordered them, you have to carry on the protection of the citizens. This is the duty of a king. As my sons, this is my instruction. So on the instruction of Ram, with great difficulty, they accepted. And Kusha went in the northerly direction and established the kingdom of Kushavati. Lava went in the southerly direction and established the kingdom of Shravasti. And after that, Ram prepared to leave. He dressed himself in white clothing, shed royal attire, and prepared to depart Ayodhya. As before, when he went into exile for 14 years, a special chariot was prepared for him. He mounted the chariot along with his two brothers, and Valmiki Ramayana says that those who had vision could see that on either side, Bhu and Lakshmi were there. Ahead of him were the personified power of resolution or vrata. Around him were all of Rama's weapons. He had been given so many weapons by Vishwamitra Muni. Personified, they all came, because they're all attached to him. Behind him were the personified Vedas, the personified Om, the personified Gayatri, and of course the Brahmanas. And following the Brahmanas were the ministers, and following the ministers were the ladies, and following the ladies were all the citizens, and following all the citizens were all the animals and birds and everything moving. As Ram left, headed for the river Sarayu, As he was moving, there were 5 persons who Ram spoke to and requested them to remain behind. One of them was Hanuman. He said to Hanuman, "You've already taken the vow that you will remain and sing and chant my glories, so you please do that." And Hanuman, with resolve, being given an instruction from Ram, is ready to carry out Ram's instruction like anything, whatever it is. And I will say, as long as the glories of Ram are heard amongst mankind. We find in the 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the place, or at least one of the places where Hanuman resides, Kim Purusha Varsha, and he's continuously singing with other associates the glories of Lord Ram. 2 of the Vanaras, Mainda and Dvidvita, Ram requested them to also remain behind, although the other Vanaras and all the other associates these were, as you remember, these were Devas who had, according to the instruction of Lord Rama, they had provided expansions of themselves as offspring in this world to assist Ram in his pastimes. Not in form, but in principle, very similar to what Krishna instructed Brahma, to have the demigods take birth on earth first. The 4th personality that Lord Rama met was Jambavan. Now, Jambavan is one of the oldest beings in creation. He was created directly by Lord Brahma at the very beginning of creation. It's a detailed description of Jambavan witnessed Lord Vishnu's killing of Kaitava and Madhu. Jambavan was later present during Ram's pastimes. Jambavan was later present during Krishna's pastimes. He's one of these Chiranjivas and lives for a very long time. So Jambavan, you stay behind. And then the 5th person that Ram spoke to was Vibhishan. Vibhishan, one of Ravana's brothers, the youngest of the 4 children, had great love and affection for Ram. He knew that Ram was going to leave, so he came to see him. Ram told him, "You return to Lanka and rule your citizens there. Engage in worship of the form of Lord Jagannath," said Valmiki Ramayana, because Jagannath is the presiding deities of Ikshvaku. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean the same form of Jagannath that we find in Puri, but the Lord of the universe, that's the meaning, the presiding deity of the Ikshvakus. Always remember Vishnu, worship the form of Vishnu, give protection to your citizens, perform the duties of the king. So the entire moving living entities of Ayodhya followed Ram. Now here there's 2 different versions according to Valmiki Ramayana. Here at the river Sarayu, they entered the river Sarayu and they all departed to the spiritual world. In the Adhyatma Ramayana, slightly different version, but same principle, he walked along the side of the river Sarayu towards where the river Sarayu and the Ganges join one another. He followed the path of the river Ganges to the source of the river Ganges, to the base of the mountain from which the river Ganges descends. There waiting for them were celestial vimanas or Vaikuntha vimanas ready to take them all back to the spiritual world. Must have been a big airport. The whole city of Ayodhya, or big planes, or something mystical they could expand in size or something. In that description, the form of Lord Vishnu descended, and Ram and his brothers combinedly entered into the form of Lord Vishnu, because he's Vishnu in any case. Because previously Vishnu said, I will appear as Ram in my expansions. In one sense, the whole city of Ayodhya went to Ayodhya. But then let us hear some understandings, particularly based upon understandings of Krishna's departure, because the Bhagavatam has lots and lots and lots of commentary from various acharyas on Krishna's departure, and the principles of Krishna's departure very much can be applied to Ramchandra's departure. So I have 7 different items to cover, and we'll conclude. In regard to Krishna's departure, Krishna didn't depart the same way that Ram departed, and our acharyas, specifically Jiva Goswami, explains this way. Following Krishna's departure was Kali Yuga. So if Krishna departed the way that Ram departed, it would have made it very difficult for Kali to do his program in Kali Yuga. Because what Ram did, so the converse is, by the way that Ram departed, it increased the faith of everybody. The favorable devotees at the time of Ram's departure became fixed in prema bhakti. Those who were fixed in prema bhakti experienced higher and higher and higher stages of prema bhakti. And those that were fence-sitters became at least devotees. By the way that Ram gave shelter to his associates and took them to the spiritual world. Now, had Krishna done the same, it would have made it very difficult for Kali to do what Kali had to do, and so he did it in a different way. He sent the demigods this way, and he sent his eternal associates that way. Then separately he departed. Ram did it wholesale. Another is a transcendental understanding that's actually really easy to understand, and that is, while the Lord's Leela was concluded, his eternal association, eternal pastimes take place in Krishna in Vrindavan, or Krishna in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwaraka. And similarly, Ayodhya is the eternal abode of Lord Ramachandra, although the city was built by Vaivasvata Manu. The Dham isn't created or destroyed because somebody builds a city or the city disappears. So Ram departed, but actually his visible pastimes were terminated and his eternal pastimes carry on. We heard that from Sandilya Rishi when he was describing to Vajranam about why he didn't see anybody around anymore. Then there's another, all related, that's Madhvacharya speaks about the pastimes of Krishna and Nrsimha, which applies also to Ram, making reference from the Tantra Bhagavat, contrasting the Lord's departure and the demigods' departure. When the demigods depart, they commonly situate themselves in a type of trance, Agneya Samadhi, something quite similar to what Dhritarashtra did. He got himself in a trance of meditation and his body just ignited from that intense meditation, and he ascended to a higher realm. So the demigods, according to Madhvacharya, they commonly, that's what they do, but the Supreme Lord doesn't do that. He doesn't need a trance of meditation and to burn his body and then go where he wants to go. Similarly, Sridhar Swami speaks not about the demigods, but yogis who can leave their body at will. They follow a similar process, this Agneya Dhyan, trance of meditation. They just sit in a trance of meditation, their body bursts into fire, and they go where they want to go. Because the connection to the soul, to the body, is gone when the body's gone. The soul can go on to wherever their mind is fixed. And similarly, Jiva Goswami describes that the Lord's form is Sva Bimbam. Sambimbam. So in the eyes of the world, he disappeared. But what that means is his manifest pastime disappeared, but he didn't disappear. He quotes a verse from Canto 1, Chapter 15. Bhagavan imam mahim jahau sva tantva. Krishna left the earthly planet in his self-same form. He didn't need to leave his form. He didn't need to have it burned by fire. He just went into his own form. So that's what Ram did. And different but similar, Jiva Goswami speaks like this from 11th Canto, Chapter 31, following the line of Sridhar Swami's commentary. He quotes Sridhar Swami saying about that verse, Adhagdva Dhamma Vishat. That is, Krishna left this material world in his spiritual form. He didn't change his body. And the same is true for his associates. His associates appeared, but their bodies were, we can say at least, spiritualized. So when they left, they also left in their spiritual body. Now, this is a Bhagavad conception, which is different than Mahabharata conception. But in the Bhagavad conception, the Pandavas, they went to where Krishna was in their self-same body. Because they're eternal associates and their bodies are fully spiritualized, and Brihad Bhagavatamrita confirms the same. Without the detail, but the same idea. According to that mood of love that the worshippers of the Supreme Lord have, they maintain that form in Vaikuntha. So now, that was pretty surprising because normally we hear and then therefore we think of the residents of Vaikuntha all having forms like Narayana. Four-arm form, symbols of Vishnu. The only difference is the mark of Srivatsa and the Kaustubha gem, and that's how you tell the difference. And otherwise, everyone looks the same. Because when Gopakumar was at the gates of Vaikuntha, he saw so many people coming into Vaikuntha saying, that's Narayan. They said, no. We may look and have forms like Narayan, but He's the supreme, not us. Then another, more splendorous. No, you must be right. No, 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 no. But then he started seeing others that looked very different. And they were residents of Vaikuntha. And the residents of Vaikuntha, they see that form of the Lord as they have love for Him. He shows that form as they have love for Him. So it's a loving place where as one loves and sees the beloved, spiritual forms are manifest, but variegatedly. Very sublime conception, but very natural conception at the same time. A place of love is where lover and beloved, they see each other as they see each other. And have love for one another. And have the desire to serve one another. One of the reasons, there's another point. Jiva Goswami gives a reason why Krishna departed in the way that he departed with all of his associates, because Krishna understood, in my absence, if I don't bring them with me, they'll feel such separation, and they're so powerful, they're practically invincible, they'll go mad and create havoc all over the planet, what to speak of their descendants, and so I better take them with me. So he made a plan to take them with him, so there wouldn't be a problem and they wouldn't be unhappy. And finally, again, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Prabhupada's comment is, although Krishna departed, this is in relation to Krishna's departure, and the same can apply to Ram's departure. The manifest pastimes were ended, but it's something like the setting of the sun. When the sun sets, it's not like the sun goes out of existence. The pastimes of Krishna go on some other place and some other place and some other place. So the pastimes of Ram similarly go on some other place and some other place. Certainly the eternal pastimes in the eternal realm of Ayodhya, like we saw in that image of cosmology, just below Goloka and just above at the topmost section of Haridham, there's Ayodhya, so eternally his pastimes are going on. But the pastime, Ram is all merciful, and he gives his mercy to many, 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 and attracts their hearts to him, as does Krishna attract their hearts to him. So we should think of the departure pastime of the Supreme Lord in these ways. And according to Uttarakhanda, this is the place. Or at least on the banks of the river Sarayu, and this Kund, bathing ghat, is the place where one king long ago created to commemorate that place and the pastime of Lord Ram's departure. So we're next going to go to the place where Bharat resided, Nandigram. He didn't reside in Ayodhya, he resided a half-an-hour bus ride away. And if you move quickly, it might take less than a half an hour. But I think it'll take a half an hour. And we're going to visit that place and hear some of the glories of Bharat, because he's very special personality in the whole of Ramayana. And then when we go to Chitrakoot, we'll hear about him again. It'll be the third time. We've heard about him, and we're going to hear about him, we're going to hear about him. He's a very important personality. He has his own place. And that's where we're going next. The place where Bharat ruled Ayodhya for 14 years. Shri Ramachandra ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.